Welcome to Daring Marana YouTube channel. Today we will be discussing about starting and stopping procedure of a freshwater generator. So let's discuss in detail about the starting and stopping procedure of a freshwater generator. Starting means we have to open the seawater ejector pump suction, then discharge and overboard valve first. First we have to open seawater ejector pump suction and discharge and overboard valve. After this we need to start ejector pump and discharge pressure must be more than 3 bar. We have to ensure that the discharge pressure must be more than 3 bar. Wait for the vacuum to build up inside the freshwater generator shell. That is about 92% vacuum. Then after this we need to open the feed water valve to feed seawater to the evaporator. Now we need to adjust the feed water pressure. Means starting means we have to open seawater ejector pump suction, discharge and overboard valve. Seawater ejector pump suction, discharge and overboard valve, and we have to start the ejector pump. Discharge pressure must be more than 3 bar. We have to make sure that and wait for the vacuum to build up inside the freshwater generator, that is about 90% vacuum. Then open the feed water valve to the feed seawater to the evaporator and adjust the feed water pressure. Then we need to open the main engine jacket cooling water inlet and outlet to the evaporator gradually. We need to open the main engine jacket cooling water inlet and outlet to the evaporator gradually. After this we need to open the air vent cock at the top of the evaporator and make sure that evaporator is filled with jacket cooling water and air must be purged out in any way. That means we need to open main engine jacket cooling water inlet and outlet to the evaporator gradually. Then we need to open air vent cock at the top of the evaporator to make sure that evaporator is filled with jacket cooling water and air must be purged out if any. Then we need to throttle the jacket cooling water by bypass valve and switch on the salinity alarm panel for measuring the purity of freshwater produced. Then we need to throttle the jacket cooling water by bypass valve and switch on salinity alarm panel for measuring the purity of freshwater produced. There will be side glass provider at the suction for distillate pump and make sure that condensed water is coming to the suction lid. There will be a side glass provider at the suction lid of distillate pump and make sure that condensed water is coming to the suction lid. That means we need to open the main engine jacket cooling water inlet and outlet to the evaporator gradually. After this we need to open air vent cock at the top of evaporator to make sure that evaporator is filled with jacket cooling water and air must be purged out with if any in any way we need to air must be purged out and throttle the jacket cooling water by bypass valve. Then switch on the salinity alarm panel for measuring the purity of freshwater produced. There will be side glass provider at the suction lane for the distillate pump and make sure that condensed water is coming through the suction lane. And after we need to start the distillate pump and open discharge valve to lead the generator water to specified storage tank. After this we need to start the distillate pump and open discharge valve to lead generator water to the specified storage tank. So what are the checks that we need to do during the freshwater generator running means through the side glass provider in the evaporator shell we need to observe the flashing of water. Through the side glass in the provider in the evaporator shell we need to observe the flashing of water. We need to check for brine level inside. It should not be too high or too low. The brine level inside should not be too high or too low. Shell temperature must be around 50 degrees Celsius. Make sure that shell vacuum is more than 90 degrees Celsius of the vacuum gauge. We need to make sure that shell vacuum is more than 90% of the vacuum gauge and check seawater inlet and outlet temperature to condenser. We need to check the seawater inlet and outlet temperature to the condenser. We need to make sure that check the seawater inlet and outlet temperature to the condenser. So what are checks that we done during the running means through the side glass provider in the evaporator we need to observe the flashing of water. Also check for brine level inside. It should not be too high or too low and shell temperature must be around 50 degrees Celsius. Make sure that shell vacuum is more than 90 degrees Celsius from the vacuum gauge and check seawater inlet and outlet temperature to the condenser. And we have to ensure that seawater pressure at the air ejector inlet should be more than 3 bar. That means seawater pressure at air ejector inlet should be more than is 3 bar and check the distillate pump pressure and water flow meter. We need to check the distillate pump pressure and water flow meter. Check salinity of the freshwater produced. Check level and flow of dosing chemical. Check ampere of ejector pump and distillate pump motor. Check ampere of ejector pump and distillate motor. We have to ensure that seawater pressure at the air ejector inlet is more than 3 bar. We have to check for distillate pump pressure and water flow meter. Check salinity of freshwater produced. Check level and flow of dosing chemical. We have to check ampere of ejector pump and distillate pump motor. How water stopping how we do is slowly open bypass valve for the main engine jacket cooling water. We have to slowly open the bypass valve of the main engine jacket cooling water. Ensure that main engine jacket cooling water temperature is within the normal limit. We have to ensure that main engine jacket cooling water is within the limit temperature. Then close the jacket cooling water inlet and outlet valve for the freshwater generator respect. So slowly close the jacket cooling water inlet and outlet valve for the fresh water generator respectively. Then close the feed water chemical dosing valve. So we need to close the feed water chemical dosing valve. After this, we have to stop the distillate pump and start this. You have to stop the distillate pump and start discharge valve and switch off the salinity meter. So what stopping means slowly open bypass valve of the main engine jacket cooling water. Ensure that main engine jacket cooling water temperature is within the normal limit. Close the jacket cooling water inlet and outlet valve for the fresh water generator respectively. Close the feed water chemical dosing valve, then stop the distillate pump and shut discharge valve, then shut off the salinity meter. Then after this, close the filling valve to the freshwater tank. Close the filling valve to the freshwater tank. Wait for the shell temperature to drop below 50 degrees Celsius. Then close the feed water valve to the evaporator. We need to stop the ejector pump. Shut the freshwater generator overboard valve. Stop the ejector pump. Then we need to shut the freshwater generator to the overboard valve. Then we need to open vacuum breaker valve to make the shell side pressure equal to atmospheric pressure. Open vacuum breaker valve to make the shell pressure equal to atmospheric pressure. Open the drain valve of evaporator to drain all seawater from the freshwater. Open drain valve to evaporator to drain all seawater from the freshwater. Means we need to close the filling valve of the freshwater tank. Wait for evaporator shell temperature to drop below 50 degrees Celsius. We need to close the feed water valve to evaporator. We need to stop ejector pump and shut the freshwater generator overboard valve. Open vacuum breaker valve to make shell side pressure equal to atmospheric pressure. Open vacuum breaker valve to make the shell side pressure equal to atmospheric pressure. Then open drain valve of evaporator to drain all seawater and freshwater generator. This is the way in which stopping of a freshwater generator and starting of freshwater generator we do, and what are the checks during running and all. Thank you.